Uncensored, no holds barred talk. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is the Global Reality Radio Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another live edition of the Global Reality right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. Thank you for being with us here tonight for this late night Moonbat edition of the broadcast. It is Wednesday going into Thursday from the 30th into the 31st. Say that 10 times fast. It's quite a tongue twister. And we are here with you tonight. My goodness gracious, we have a big show for you tonight. We've got a lot of important info, a lot of key things we're going to be talking about here tonight. Very perplexing things, stuff I just became aware of right before the show started tonight, so we'll be talking about that. We'll also be getting into some other important news of the day. They're actually, it took us to Wednesday to get there, but we actually do have some interesting and important news to discuss with you here tonight. And then we'll be jumping back into our reading and continuing tonight to read from William Bramley's The Gods of Eden. And we left off last night in a very interesting chapter concerning Jesus and the rest of it. Somebody was asking, because there was a chapter in there, and you know how all of us are. Sometimes missing info does not sit very well with us. And there was a page missing or so from what we were reading last night. Come to find out, somebody had sent me a message and said that basically not to worry, that whatever was in that chat was basically just Bible verses anyway. And, I think we're all quite capable of being able to find those on our own. So last night was chapter 12, the Jesus ministry. And then tonight we will be getting into chapter 13 of William Bramley's The Gods of Eden, of the Apocalypse of John. So I know that you guys are all looking forward to that just as much as I am tonight. So we're going to be getting into that as well for you here. Emails are welcome as well. If you have anything you want to pitch in on, if you've got news tips, if you've got news items, if you've got questions, topic suggestions, things you want to get my take on, you want to hear about, please send emails. globalrealityshow@gmail.com. I love your emails. Love your emails. One of my favorite things now, and I've been getting more and more and more, and they've been building up, and you guys have been sending more in, and it's great, man. I really enjoy those. I really gets a lot of enjoyment. Sometimes I get good information, or I get your take and your point of view. A lot of times, somebody will say, "Hey, I heard you talking about this. Have you seen this? Here you go. Here's a link." And that furthers my knowledge. It furthers your knowledge. That's great. That's what we should be doing. I've said it a million times. That's the kind of stuff we need to be doing. And that doesn't require a leader or a big daddy or group or, you to become a part of some club or anything else. You don't have to do anything except just participate in the conversation. That's all anybody's asking of anybody here. And this becomes more and more important. And I got to tell you, very, very strange here. Tonight, Kel's, you know who she is. She's one of our chatters. Kelly Tillipos. She's doing the Tour of No Name thing. And so we could definitely check her out and support her with what she's doing with her project there. But she had pointed out this video on Facebook about, well, you remember the lady who had the neurological disorder or whatever it was, you know, a month or so ago, I guess, in front of the was it the Grammys or the Oscars or whatever it was. She starts talking, you know, gibberish right in the middle of the show. And that was, you know, it's kind of weird. And I remember seeing it going, my God, is this some kind of, you know, glitch in the Matrix type thing going on? Well, come to find out, now there's been not one more of these, which would be odd enough. And another woman, and again, on the news, this woman's in the middle of her news broadcast, and again, she just starts busting out in gibberish. Very bizarre. And then another one after that with a male news presenter. And I even think this one was on CNN. I think the third one, and there it is. Yet again, he just sitting there talking, giving his news report, and then just... And apparently, I haven't ever seen any of these two movies. I'm going to try and... I'll probably just take some time away from video editing tonight and watch these two movies just so I can do a report on this. This is how interested I am in this. Apparently, there's the movie The Core, which was odd because wasn't it last night's show or the night before? I can't remember what it was. I think it might have been last night. Wasn't I just talking about The Core, that movie The Core? Didn't I just talk about it? We had a story about them drilling down to the core of the earth. Remember? And I said, didn't I make some? I think it was last night, wasn't it? I'm sorry. Stuff all kind of jumbles together when you don't sleep very much and sleep weird times like I do. Days sort of run together. It might have been last night because I was talking about it being a big, you know, a big douche for the earth and douching out the earth. I remember I was talking about that, you know, a reset. And that's what the movie The Core was about. Well, apparently in that movie, which I'm going to go back and watch tonight, apparently in that movie as well, this phenomenon of people, because of the shifts in the Earth's electromagnetic frequencies and Earth's magnetic field, the disruptions in that, it causes these speech patterns to be slurred, and that happens in the movie. Now, I can't confirm that yet. Apparently, it also supposedly happens in the movie The Happening. I can't confirm either one of those and say that's an absolute fact because I haven't seen the movie. Some of you out there may be able to confirm that and say, yes, you've seen that, and yes, you can recall that's in the movies, but after I do, I will tell you. But don't you think that's odd? And let me tell you the weird synchronicity about this. So I came to the chat room and said that the stream was back up and there was going to be a show. And so I was doing my news gathering. And I had just watched this video where they show these two more news reporters having this happen to them, right? And I was on Drudge Report looking at news. And across the top of the Drudge Report website, the headline was something to the effect of, you know, Obama authorizes CIA support for Libyan rebels, which when we have that story here tonight, we'll cover that. But as I was sitting there looking at that headline, the page of the Drudge Report website auto reloaded. The page reloaded on its own. And when the page reloaded on its own, I got the following headline at the top of the page, and this blew me away. Mind you, I had just literally, ladies and gentlemen, not 30 seconds to a minute, before my page auto-refreshed on the Drudge Report, I had just got done watching this video about the two more reporters having this slurred speech thing happen to them, and I see this headline. Exclusive, cameras rolled during Judge Judy's health scare. I need to stop, she told the audience. An incoherent Judge Judy told shocked audience members she needed to stop one of her made-for-TV cases because she was not feeling well. Radar Online is exclusively reporting. This just broke, just came out tonight. Judge Shinding was rushed to a Los Angeles hospital Wednesday morning. Sheindlin, I guess is her name. After she suddenly started saying things that didn't make sense. Oh, my God, it happened to Judge Judy, too. Ladies and gentlemen, how synchronistic is that? How insane is that? I had remembered the first incident happening. I had just watched that video. I mean, literally, this is blowing my fucking mind right now. That's why I was kind of dispensing with the pleasantries at the beginning of the show, kind of getting into it really quickly. Because it was all I could do to even have a proper intro to the show tonight, because I just wanted to come up here and tell you this, because it's blowing me the fuck away. It happened 10 minutes before the show started. That's why we're starting a little later tonight. I apologize for that, and thank you for staying up late with us. It's going to be worth it, I promise. I'm just blown the fuck away. I literally, folks, just watched that video. I go to Drudge Report to look for news. I see the Libya headline. The page auto refreshes and it comes up and says it's happened for a fourth time. Now, my God, with what we've already talked about with here on the show, going back the past several months, talking about the Earth's losing its magnetic field. Remember, we've talked about that? And we've talked about the different implications of that. And I said that they may be using HAARP as a scapegoat, maybe using HAARP as a red herring for these changes that are going on with the sun and the earth that are affecting our magnetic field, that they are basically keeping the truth of from us, as they're trying to do things to ensure that they don't happen. That's what chemtrails and HAARP. You've heard me talk about this. They repainted the lines on the airport in Florida. Remember? This is unbelievable, folks. There is definitely something going on here. And again, we'd already been talking about this. We've been talking about the Earth losing its magnetic field, all the evidence we've seen that the Earth is losing its magnetic field. And goodness gracious, between that story we had last night where they were going to the core and digging down to the core, this is just strange. Very strange, very bizarre. Unbelievable. I don't know what to think of this. Let me go to the chat room. Is there anybody in the chat room that can verify that that this is in those movies? Anybody? I don't know. I'm going to have to watch those later. This is bizarre, folks. Something is going on. Let me read you the... let me read you the description on the person who made this film. And they have, by the way, the person who made the video that I had described earlier about watching just minutes before seeing the Judge Judy thing. They have updated that now and updated it with the Judge Judy info. So I will be dropping that in the Global Reality Radio chat room, which you can join us in at my website, www.theglobalreality.com. That's www.theglobalreality.com. The chat room link is up there if you want to drop, but I'm going to drop that video in there right now, the fourth incident of this happening. But let me read you the, it says, I don't know, I just see some weird shit going on, and the video at the beginning might have something to do with it. Anybody ever see The Core or The Happening? Solar Cycle 22. During 1990, the solar maximum fever pitch initiated skirmishes around the world, culminating with Iraq invading Kuwait and the U.S. battling back against Saddam Hussein's army. Then, 11 years later, the 9/11 attacks against New York and Washington, D.C. were followed by two wars in quick succession, Afghanistan and again Iraq. According to the 11-year solar cycle, as the sun entered its next active peak during late 2010, the disruptions in the Earth's magnetic field could be predicted to cause unrest, instability, uprisings, outbreaks of war, destruction, and mass death once again. Like clockwork, it has occurred. Suddenly, the news was filled with rising dissent rearing up in Tanzania, Egypt, Yemen, Bahrain, and Saudi Arabia. It spread to Syria, Libya, Iran, and China. Europe was not immune. General unrest arose in the UK and France. Greece had extended riots. Spain felt under pressure, and even the U.S. saw angry mobs rise up in the state of Wisconsin. Magnetic madness. As the flares increase and the sun becomes more violent, expect greater violence on Earth, and some go mad. the pattern is unmistakable. At key points during the solar cycle, from minimum to maximum activity, the geomagnetic field becomes to intensify as it comes under bombardment. The triggers are when the activity is accelerating towards the peak or dropping down towards the minimum. Much research during the following 70 years has shown that the magnetic field interaction with humans' electrochemically driven brains also affects deep-rooted psychological mechanisms, including creating anomalous hormonal swings and even significantly mutated brainwave activity. The magnetic monster initiates a general mass hysteria and a degree of uncontrollable psychosis. In other words, the world goes mad. And it does seem that everybody's going fucking crazy. Doesn't it? It seems like the only people that really have their heads screwed on right now are the people that are aware of this type of information and what's going on. And even some of those people are losing their shit. Oh, this is wild. So yeah, I think we are. I think we're definitely at the stage where, as I talked about several weeks ago, remember what we talked about when I said predicted they were going to shoot down that NASA Glory satellite, or it would fail, and I was right. Remember that? Well, that's what it was doing. It was going up to measure solar radiation and to measure the amount of radiation in the atmosphere. Right? And I said, well, isn't that interesting? It's going to measure the amount of aerosols in the atmosphere, chemtrails, and versus the amount of radiation in the atmosphere. And then what happened? The second of these two satellites that NASA has attempted to launch failed, and now they have not gone up there. And then a week after that, maybe not even a week, maybe just a few days, what happens? Japanese earthquake, tsunami, and the nuclear reactors. So now, ladies and gentlemen, if it is indeed true that our sun is going through catastrophic changes that could bring about what the Mayans predicted as the end of the known world, not the end of the world and not everybody dead, but the end of the known world, the end of their supremacy. Maybe maybe the sun goes into some fucking crazy ass cycle and we got 12 fucking strand activation, DNA activation going on, and fucking we turn to light beings or some shit. I don't know. Anybody tells you they know, they're out of their mind. I'm just throwing it out there because it's been speculated about and it's been talked about and written about and blah, blah, blah. And it's quite pervasive, but it would be in their best interest to create mitigation technologies, which would be HAARP and chemtrails, which would create a blanket and to keep this radiation out of the atmosphere. Now, if mass amounts of radiation start entering the atmosphere because of this event that they can't control, how are they going to start explaining all this radiation in the atmosphere to the general public? Because there's going to be independent people monitoring this, wondering what all this radiation throughout the world is. Well, conveniently for them, we have this Fukushima reactor situation, leaking radiation. Everybody's in a tussy about radiation. Everybody's buying iodine pills and freaking out about it being in the food and the water. And they just got themselves the perfect cover story, ladies and gentlemen, for the fact that our sun is going through a massive solar maximum. We're getting hammered with all sorts of radiation and particles and everything else. This in turn causes and produces various mental reactions naturally in humans. And then the elite and the New World Order create these situations with wars and everything else and stage this around that so they can use everybody's energy, which is being just amped up and raised up, brought to an absolute fever pitch boiling point. And again, instead of that being harnessed and used to bring humanity up, they use HAARP and they use a war and they use all the rest of this stuff, and they create the ability to steer all of this natural energy that the sun cycles are causing in humans towards back there, towards their agenda, and back towards what they want it to be. This is so clear to me. It's just, you can, can't you see it? Unbelievable. I don't know. I really see this now. This is why within just a few days after that monitoring satellite, the Glory, failed, you had the Japan incident. Then now they're able to have the perfect patsy, the perfect cover story for all this solar radiation coming in because, you know, people aren't going to be able to tell whether that's solar radiation or anything else. I think they're trying, I am still convinced that they are trying to keep us from some natural event that could bring about the end of their supremacy, and they are trying to use all the technology in their disposal, all the technology they can create, ladies and gentlemen, to create mitigation devices to stop this from happening. And you know, it's so funny. I'm sitting there reading comments. Yeah. One person left a comment on one of these things I posted and said, "Oh, it's just caused. There's nothing weird going on here. That's just caused by you know, the equipment and the electronics in the studio. That's what causes that to happen." Yeah. Well, how did it happen when the lady was outside? Granted, the other two were in studios, but the first one that happened with that lady was inside. And also with Judge Judy, I mean, you know, the equipment, the electronic stuff, and the cameras are way back in the back. They have big zoom lenses. They're in a mock courtroom, and the cameras are in the very back, and they zoom in from the very back and do a big tight shot from the very back of the room. So there's not really a lot of electronics going there. So, but what my point about this is the person that's saying this is saying it in the way as if that's an absolute fact, not just an opinion or a theory about what might happen. Now that bothers me. That really bothers me. That people would think that you know, that the most plausible explanation is the correct one. I mean, what gets you in that sort of mindset? Oh, your ex was on Judge Judy? Oh, wow. I'm sorry. I'm blown away by this, but I want to watch this. I'm definitely going to watch these films and see what's happening there. Man, oh man, oh man. Well, these, you know, we've talked about many times here on the show that these different solar events throughout history have caused upheaval and turmoil and stuff on Earth. And maybe it does cause that naturally, but see, I don't believe that either. I believe that it's not even what I believe. The evidence shows that the priest class, the modern day purveyors of the custodial masters who have been keeping mankind in ignorance for centuries, is the dawn of man on this planet, of Homo sapien sapien. These are the people who have knowledge of these cyclical events that pertain to solar events, the sun, and everything else. They know full well ahead of time. So this is why they have been blasting holes in the ozone layer with HAARP. Everybody's been asking, well, why would they do this? You know, why would they want to be blasting holes in these layers of the atmosphere with HAARP and putting holes in our atmosphere? Yeah, I know HAARP is real, and yeah, I know that they're doing this, and it's all right there, and you can prove it, but why? Why would they just randomly put holes in our atmosphere? For what purpose would that serve? What good would that do? Maybe to try and create the idea of phony global warming? Well, Maybe, but I think the phony global warming thing maybe goes more in line with the creation of this mitigation technology, and that will be the cover for it. And also because by using HAARP to blast holes in the atmosphere, let's say, for instance, that this solar activity naturally, and we know that this, science admits this, that these massive solar events where they hammer the planets with neutrinos and, all these different radioactive particles, that in some cases the atmosphere of the planet is affected. And so if it's true, we know that it is, that the elite and the priest class and the people going back to the custodial masters that were have been the keepers of the secret knowledge have known about these cyclical events that would affect the Earth's atmosphere for centuries. This very well could be what the Mayans were talking about, the end of the known world. Not the end of the world, not death and destruction, but the end of the known world. So if that's true, and it is true that these people have had this knowledge, then we can look at HAARP and chemtrails as something they created to be able to blast holes in the atmosphere and then test their mitigation technology through chemtrails, aerosol spraying, and the rest of this stuff to see how effectively they could repair the atmosphere in the event that the sun caused this to happen to Earth's atmosphere. You see? I think we have a very, very, to me, it just makes everything so crystal clear. You go, oh my God, it all makes sense now. It makes sense why they would be blasting the holes in the atmosphere. It would make sense why they would try to sell us on phony global warming so they could pay for this whole thing and then turn around and tell us that this technology that we've been paying for decades is new technology, it's geoengineering, and it's what we're going to have to do to protect ourselves from global warming because mankind fucked up the atmosphere and we need you to repair it, when the real truth would be it's a part of these cyclical things they're not telling us about, and they're using mitigation technology from keeping some natural event. I mean, who are we to say that this event, that maybe the Earth shouldn't be blasted with radioactive particles from the sun? Maybe that's going to cause some new evolution and cause us to become light beings or cause us to be freed from our physical bodies. That's what I believe. I really do. I believe that this event is something that what the Mayans were talking about, the end of the known world, was meaning the end of us existing and being trapped and enslaved in these material bodies. And that when the sun reached this certain point, it would cleanse the earth by fire, and all of the souls entrapped in bodies on earth would finally be released. That's what I believe 2012 is about. And I believe that these sons of bitches are doing everything they can to stop that. And that's what HAARP and chemtrails and phony global warming and all this mitigation technology, and even Obama's talked about several times since he's been in office, geoengineering the planet. You guys have seen these stories. We've covered them here on this show. Geoengineering the planet, geoengineering the climate for climate change. You guys have all seen this video. It's all there. I mean, all these clips are out there in mainstream news. These custodial motherfuckers want to keep us enslaved and keep us regenerating down in these bodies so they can use us. And this is what the ancients have known, and they've put everything in their power into creating technology to keep this from happening, because if they don't keep it from happening, they cannot keep their supremacy over the material realm any longer. That's what I believe the Mayans predicted with the end of the known world, right there. That's it. Record that and put that out there. My God. Goodness gracious. We're going to take a break, come back, and we'll get into more news for you here tonight. And if you want to send an email my way, globalrealityshow@gmail.com. That's globalrealityshow@gmail.com. Late night Moonbat edition of the broadcast. We're here, back here with you on the Global Reality, right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. Thank you for being with us here tonight for this late night Moonbat edition of the broadcast. And boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Very interesting information. Hey, I had an email here from VK who had sent us that great email the other night. Got me talking about fembots and all that. He says, this is a bizarre article from CNN. Gaddafi's scion was steeped in U.S. internship when crisis broke. Why do they refer to him as the scion or Zion of Gaddafi and not just as his son? I think it is code. The content is very interesting, too, but the headline referring to him as scion instead of just son stood out. Scion may refer to kinship descendant. Right, that's what it does refer to, but you kind of, if you're asking me a question, you kind of answer your own question, but I will say this. Kinship is a relation between any entities that share a genealogical origin through either biological, cultural, or historical descent. And descent groups' lineages are treated in their own subsections. Bloodlines. Yeah, it's a hereditary dictatorship. It's just like, a king or a queen or anything else. And this comes, of course, from where? The custodians. Or the people who set up the bloodlines. They installed the demigods, the bloodlines, the people that were made with the most of the custodial DNA, and put them in positions of power, and this is how it's passed down generation to generation. Through the scions. That's where that term came from. But I do want to add that if you type in the word scion, S-C-I-O-N, it'll bring up a Wikipedia page that has the different things that it may refer to. So I want to read this for you. Scion may refer to in kinship, a descent or a notable family son or daughter. In grafting, a detached shoot or twig containing buds from a woody plant, which is grafted onto the stalk. An automobile. Atlantean scion, a fictional device of untold power in the video games Tomb Raider and Tomb Raider Anniversary. That's interesting. Atlantean scion, huh? Scion, a comic book published in 2000 to 2004 by CrossGen Comics. Scion, a role-playing game. And this, to me, is most interesting in terms of what we just talked about with the scion, meaning the kinship and the bloodlines and how that relates to the custodians. Scion is also an alien race in the video game Battlezone 2. So isn't that interesting information, ladies and gentlemen? Look at that. We already know, as those of you who've listened to my show and listened to my work for a long time know, the deep connections between science fiction and actually it's not even science fiction. I hate that term. I wish we could come up with I hate that term science fiction because it's not fiction. It's science fact. They fictionalize the truth so that the truth seems like fiction. Little phrase I coined some time back, and that's exactly what shows like the X-Files have done. Tons of, Star Trek, on and on and on. Star Wars, there's just it's everywhere. It's all pervasive. All of Arthur C. Clarke's work were that way. Who else? Any of the big sci-fi writers. Asimov. Who was the other guy? Can't remember, but there was 3 or 4 of them. But anyway, yeah. So to answer your question there, most definitely that's what they're referring to in that article. Is they're referring to the hereditary, the one who's going to take over the power after the current one does, and it's done hereditary by the bloodlines, and so on and so on and so on. That's why the elite are such horse breeders. That's why they're into horse breedings. You'll see them doing that. I actually have a picture. There's so many little pictures, and I never really talked about this. There's so many little pictures in The Secret Right Volume 1, in some of the opening montage shots and throughout the film. There's so many little pictures, I think, in that film that I think of still to this day, 2 years after it coming out. April 15th or 14th, I think 14th, something like that, is the end of the 2-year anniversary of Secret Right Volume 1 being out, which is coincidental because we're going to be, it's just amazing. And I didn't time it like this, but we're going to be having Secret Right Volume 2 come out with just in a few weeks to maybe a month after the 2-year anniversary of the original one coming out, which is cool. Actually, no, probably by the time that gets here, yeah, probably about 2 or 3 weeks after that. So that'll be really cool. But there's a lot of little pictures in there, and there's one picture in particular in the opening montage thing. I think I used it in another part of the film when I'm talking about the hunts. There's a clip of the Queen of England standing next to H.L. Hunt, or not H.L. Hunt, not Lamar Hunt, but one of the Hunt sons. And they're holding a horse breeding trophy because the Hunts were big horse breeding families, as well as, and all these bloodlines, that's what they're into. They learn about breeding through horses at a young age that transfers into adulthood, and then they learn about breeding in stock and the rest of this stuff when it comes to selecting a mate. Most of the time, marriages in these elite families are prearranged. Almost all the time. They're not allowed to go out and marry in the out of the livestock of the general population. That just doesn't work that way. That's how they do it. That's how they keep the scions in place. So there you go. Hope that answered your questions. If you have any more emails tonight, globalrealityshow@gmail.com. It's globalrealityshow@gmail.com. Support our work too. My God, I mean, we're just in information overload central right now, aren't we? So somebody sent me an email saying that I was on fire lately, and everybody's been saying, "Oh man, you're on fire lately, man. Great shows, and you're just fucking right." I don't. This is not. I mean, I can't take responsibility for this. Honestly, I really can't take credit for that. The universe is on fire, man. The material, the non-material realms of reality, the spirit realms are on fire. So it's causing me to be on fire. This is why I'm so enthused and just full bore right now. It's causing us to be that where it should be. I think if you are feeling this way right now and you're not feeling, because we talked about earlier, the causing people to go crazy from the sun, I think it's going to cause the general population to go crazy. But those of you and those of us out here who know what's going on, know how to process this, we're going to be just fine. I mean, I really do believe that. I really do. I believe those of us, because we we already are able to process the grand scope ramifications of how deep all this information is and how far it goes back. We've been looking at least you should be if you're listening to my show. And I apologize. I have to say, I'm gonna throw this out there. This show is not for noobs. I appreciate you newbies tuning in, and believe me, I want you to keep tuning in. I'm not saying don't listen to my show. I'm just saying, I've always wanted this show to be an advanced level show. Once you were kind of done wading and sticking your toes in the kiddie pool, that's why I don't go back. I don't go explain over shit you should know. I don't go over the finer points of the Bilderberg Group and CFR and all this stuff. I mean, I don't talk incessantly about 9/11 or any of this other stuff. Those are things you should know by now. If you're coming into my show, you should have a good idea of what's going on. And so, you need to be aware that sometimes if you feel like you're less informed than somebody else, or you're, kind of trying to play catch up, or you hear me talk about things and you don't have a reference point for the things I'm talking about, you have to understand when I'm coming out with new information and I'm coming in with new stuff and stuff is coming in so fast, I do not have time to sit down during my show and give you 4 years that I've done on radio now, backstory worth of backlog information every time I talk about a particular subject. But some people expect me to do that, and I'm just not going to do it. When I hear me talk about the CNP, the Council for National Policy, and you don't know what that is, look it up. Go through any of the thousands of radio shows out there of mine that I've done. I think close to, I was looking at the numbers the other day. I think I've done, between all the appearances and everything I've done, I think I've either done close to 1,000 shows or a little over 1,000 shows in the span of 4 years. Literally. Because, I was doing 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, and then doing 2 hours on Saturday for like a year and a half. And before that, I was doing 2 or 3 hours, 2 or 3 hours Monday through Thursday or Monday through Friday on True Net Radio, and then 7 to 9 a.m. on Saturday mornings on RBN. And then WTPRN. After that, I was on that network for a while. I did 3 hours over there for a while, and I did 4 hours there for a while. And then the scumbags tanked the network. Then went over to Oracle, started doing 4 hours over there, 2 hours. So, I've done You to count up all the shows I've done, including Saturday shows and other appearances on other people's shows I've done, Blog Talk Radio, this I've done. I think the last count I checked, it was something close to over 1,000 shows. So you can go back through any of those and hear me talk about those the finer points of those things. Oh, but anyway, my point is like I said, I was saying, support our work and whatever. But yeah, I mean, there's so much shit coming out. I mean, I've got like so many films I want to make. I want to make a film on music and about these connections to the secret societies and all this stuff. There's so much crap I want to do. Anyway, the donate button is there if you want to use that to throw cash our way to help us grow and become bigger and do all the things we want to do. The chipping banner's there so we don't have to have commercials or sell dick pills or have water filter ads or hit you with ads as soon as you come to our website. We have no ads. We don't want you to sell anything, but we need your support. There's only, there's 2 or 3 people out there keeping us alive, and that's not fair to everybody else. So if you haven't donated, please donate. If you haven't ever donated big before to our network and you want to donate something big to us to help us push us along, you can use the donate button for that. If you've never done that before and you have the means to do it, by all means, please do it and help us out. Let's get back into the news here tonight. We're going to be getting into William Bramley's The Gods of Eden as well for you tonight. Chapter 13, The Apocalypse of John. By the way, Nick has set up another interview. It looks like we're going to be having William Henry on the broadcast. I have to get back and confirm Nick with that. I think he said something maybe next week or something like that. So we'll have to see. Nick's just jumped on the motherfucking bull, grabbed the bull by the horn, and started wrestling that motherfucker to the ground. Seriously, that's props, dude. That's what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? Same thing what Manhydra did when he started doing my web managing stuff for me. He gets all the archives up every day. Big shout out to Manhydra. Let's get some Manhydra some love. You see that kid in the chat room, man? Give him some love because he does a lot for the network, keeping the archives up and the chipping banners up, and he does a great fucking job. But that's the same thing he did. He just stepped up and said, "You know what? I can do it. You want me to do it? Here you go. I can't donate money, but I'm a web guy. You need somebody, and I needed somebody bad. My website was basically MIA and DOA for the longest time, and thanks to Manhydra and the other gentleman who built the website design and stuff, thanks to him as well. But Manhydra who managed and stuff. I mean, finally, when that happened, where our website came to life, and I've needed a producer and I've needed somebody who can book guests for me. I just don't have time to do it with everything else. And set up guests and interviews and stuff for me. And Nick just kind of said, hey, I'll do it. And he started doing it. And now he's got William Henry coming on the show and William Bramley coming on the show. So, wow, that's fucking rad. That's awesome. That's what I need. And that's what I like. I like when people do that, I hate having to go ask, hey, man, you want to do this or whatever. But, yeah, that's really cool. So looking forward to that. Oh, everybody needs a laugh, right? You guys ready for a good laugh here? Oh, this has got to make you laugh. Airport body scanner is not a health risk. Says study. Okay, let's see. Who did the study? The University of California? Yeah, University of California. Okay. But MIT says they unzip your DNA. But University of California says, no. I don't know. MIT, University of California, which one do you think has more clout? Which one has more of a track record for being right? Let's see here. I don't know. Fuck MIT, right? Yeah. A bunch of idiots over there. What do they got? Chomsky and nothing else? Yeah. Bunch of hacks. University of California, that's where the real info is. Yeah. Full body scanners used to secure airports, about 1,000 of which will be deployed across the United States by year's end, do not pose health risks. Go back to sleep, America. Your government is in control. Go back to sleep. We got this. Don't worry about it. Don't cause health risks. You're crazy. Go back to bed. University of California said it. It was in the news. No health risk. You're a kook. You're crazy if you think there is a health risk. Go back to sleep. Well, the University of California said there was no health risk. And if you're resisting, that must mean you're with Al-Qaeda. Are you with Al-Qaeda, boy? Because I'm with the TSA, and I got blue rubber gloves, and I could stick my hand so far up your ass, I'll feel your eyeballs. And I can get away with it, too, because I work for the government. I get a government check. You don't, bitch. Bend over. Disturbing. The researchers also said a lung x-ray was equivalent to 1,000 trips through an airport scanner, while a mammogram delivers as much radiation as passing through such a scanner 4,000 times. The study focused on x-ray machines dubbed backscatter, which use low-dose radiation x-rays similar to those used in medical imaging. So far, there are some 486 full-body scanners in place in 78 airports. The radiation doses emitted by the scans, I mean, radiation from the sun, radiation from nuclear reactors, radiation from going through x-ray machines. It just seems that they want to irradiate the fuck out of us. Anybody else? I mean, can we safely say at this point that it seems that someone or something is just trying to irradiate us to fucking kingdom come? My God. I mean, I can't but think of anything else. Somebody's trying to fucking irradiate us. Microwave towers everywhere. We got fucking cell phones we're carrying around with us and gadgets everywhere. They're just hammering us with fucking microwaves. We're sitting in front of an electromagnetic fucking field of all these, you know, I got computers all around me and monitors and shit and flat screens and fucking, you know, somebody over here's got fucking hot pockets going in the fucking microwave. I mean, we're getting hammered. You can't tell me it's not on purpose. Oh, and listen to this. Oh, you love this. And since flying itself increases exposure to ionizing radiation, the scan will contribute less than 1% of the dose a flyer will receive from exposure to cosmic rays at elevated altitudes. Oh, well, that's nice. Well, hey, you're already flying. You're already going to get exposed to radiation anyway, since you're at elevated altitude. Really, I didn't know that. I'd never heard that before. Honestly, I didn't know that. Did you guys know that? I mean, it wouldn't surprise me that I just was completely oblivious to that. But I gotta be honest with you, and I'll take, you know, if I'm a stupid dumbass for not knowing that, then I apologize, and maybe I don't know as much as I thought, but I didn't know that. I have never in my life heard that a flyer will receive exposure from cosmic rays at elevated altitudes from natural flying. I didn't know that. So they're going to hit us with even more before you get on the plane. So you're going to get on the plane, you're going to get hit with radiation, then you're going to get on the airplane, and you're going to get more from flying it out at high altitudes. Okay, great. Again, we cannot think this is not by design. My goodness. The estimation of cancer risk associated with these scans is difficult. But using the only available models, the risk would be extremely small, even among frequent flyers. We conclude that there is no significant threat of radiation from the scans, they wrote. Advanced imaging technology X-ray scanners currently in use at airports and around the United States sparked an uproar among travelers because they produce a graphic image of a person's naked body, genitalia, and all. Genitalia, what? Texas illegally obtaining lethal drugs. This got my attention, being born and raised in Texas here. The lawyers of two Texas death row inmates asked Attorney General Eric Holder Wednesday to open an investigation on the state's alleged illegal purchases of lethal injection drugs. In a letter made public by the lawyers, they said that they had uncovered official documents through a Freedom of Information Act request that leads us to believe that the Texas Department of Criminal Justice has violated the Federal Controlled Substances Act. According to the lawyers, the state has purchased for the past 25 years controlled substances used in lethal injections by using a Drug Enforcement Administration registration number for the Huntsville Unit Hospital, which has been closed since 1983. The Texas Execution Chamber is located in the same city. As a result, we believe that the TDCJ is unlawfully in possession of and unlawfully dispensing controlled substances. For 25 years, they've been doing this. Well, you know what this should mean? If the state of Texas has been illegally obtaining controlled substances violating laws for 25 years, then everybody who's been involved in that happening for the past 25 years ought to go to jail. And every motherfucker that's been put in jail in Texas in the last 25 years for a drug charge should be set free. Yeah. How you like that? If not, then this is a total fucking tyranny, and we know it is. And if not, then I don't know why people are still sitting on their asses anymore, not wanting to raise hell about this. They've been putting, I mean, my God, in Texas, folks, we have the worst drug laws anywhere. They'll try to fuck your life up over less than a dime bag down here. They'll try to fuck your life up over a seed. Over a seed. And I've heard stories about in other states, oh yeah, he found a, quarter on me and I had my pipe loaded and he took my bag and broke my pipe and, let me go on my way. What? Not down here in Texas. Hell no. They find a pipe in your car that might have had some shit smoked out of it 2 or 3 months ago. Your ass is going to jail. But yet for 25 years, the state of Texas had been illegally obtaining controlled substances, and nothing will probably end up happening with this. I mean, I'm openly calling for the state of Texas to release and give everybody who's been arrested on a drug charge in the state of Texas in the past 25 years, which we're probably talking about billions of people. It's probably billions. Probably more than millions. It's probably billions. Every person who's ever been fucking put in jail or put on probation or anything else for the past 25 years should be set free, should have all of that stricken from their records, and have their slate driven clean. Now, if they want to work a plea, you know what they should do? That's what they should do. All right, how about this? Here's the deal. We will forgive the citizens of the state of Texas will forgive the state of Texas for knowingly breaking the Controlled Substance Act for the past 25 years while simultaneously putting people in jail, on probation, on parole, whatever have you, for having controlled substances. We will pardon that, but in exchange, every person who's been incarcerated for the past 25 years for drugs, every person who's ever had a misdemeanor or felony or probation or parole or anything else should immediately have all of their past deeds stricken from the record permanently and have a clean slate. I think that's a fair trade. It's definitely a fairer trade than, what's going to happen to some of these people. That's what I would be worried about. What's going to start happening when some of these guys that have been in jail for drug sentences for 20 years get out? You don't think if they hear this news story, they're not going to want to go find where the people that have been shipping these drugs in illegally for the past 25 years, they're not going to want to go find out where those people live and who's responsible for that and take care of them? Because, hell, they just got out of jail. They don't care to go. They don't care if they go back. That's what I think they should be worried about. So I think that's a fair trade for the people of Texas from the state of Texas. I think that's a perfect trade. Let's see what else we have here on the menu tonight, news-wise. We'll be reading from William Bramley's book tonight as well, Chapter 13. We'll be doing that after we get through the night's news, so definitely stick around for that. Oh, check out this gay shit. You guys hear about this? This sounds fucking retarded. He's been a famous bodybuilder. He's been a killer cyborg from the future. He's been governor of California. And now, in this week's exclusive cover scoop, Arnold Schwarzenegger reveals his plans for the next phase of his extraordinary career. He's going to be a cartoon superhero known as the Governator. I mean, how lame is this? When I ran for governor back in 2003 and I started hearing people talking about the Governator, I thought that the word was so cool. Schwarzenegger, 63, tells EW in the first press interview since leaving office last January. The world governor combined two worlds, the worlds of politics and the world of the movie world. And this cartoon brings everything together, combines the governor, the Terminator, the bodybuilding world, the true lies. The animated TV show and comic book being co-developed by no less a superhero authority than Spider-Man co-creator Stan Lee won't be out until next year, but this week EW offers an exclusive early look at Arnold's cartoon alter ego. This is crazy. Now listen to this. The Governor is going to be a great superhero, but he'll also be Arnold Schwarzenegger, Lee says of the semi-fictional character. We're using all the personal elements of Arnold's life. We're using his wife, Maria Shriver. We're using his kids. We're using the fact that he used to be governor. Only after he leaves the governor's office, Arnold decides to become a crime fighter and builds a secret high-tech crime-fighting center under his house in Brentwood. So he builds an underground, base underneath his house. Listen to this. Arnold, along with the Arnold Cave, the Governor will have a fleet of super vehicles at his disposal, a closet full of super suits that allow him to fly and perform other super stunts, and a team of colorful sidekicks such as Zeke Muckerberg, as in Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook, except his sidekick is going to be named Zeke Muckerberg. Is that some hint that Arnold Schwarzenegger and Mark Zuckerberg are like, Mark Zuckerberg is the ward of the Governor? Like Batman and Robin, the whole homoerotic shit they had going on, right? They always called Robin the ward of Bruce Wayne. Yeah. Bitch is more like it. God, I could see it too. Is that what they're trying to tell us? So Zuckerberg's like little buddy, huh? I like you so much, Zuckerberg. I like you so much. I like your Facebook. It's so great, man. It makes sense, isn't that ironic though? Because the Governor's a Nazi. I mean, Arnold is a Nazi. He's had Nazi death's head belt buckles on wearing on the cover of Time magazine. There's pictures of him giving Sieg Heil salutes. He was friends with Kurt Waldheim. And Mark Zuckerberg is, Jewy Jewenstein, essentially. Isn't that ironic? That is unbelievable. Anybody else with me think that's fucking crazy? So he's got the boy blunder is Mark Zuckerberg, the Jew. So that's his little step. He's got, so the Aryan Nazi has his little step and fetch, which is his Jew. I mean, my God, is anybody else with me seeing this? This is sick. The precocious 13-year-old computer whiz who acts as the Governor's cybersecurity expert. Naturally, there will also be recurring supervillains, including an evil organization called gangsters, imposters, racketeers, liars, and irredeemable ex-cons, or girly men, for short. You're the girly man. Yes, the girly man is our enemy. We must defeat the girly man. And to help me defeat the girly man, I will bring in Zeke Muckerberg, my sidekick, my boy Blunder, my ward, my bitch. I mean, no, not my bitch. It's not a tumor either. For Schwarzenegger, the cartoon is obviously the next best thing to being president. I love the idea of a control. I love the idea of a control center below my house in the past where bullshit and the submarines can go right into the ocean. In the cartoon, my house is much closer to the beach than where we live, but it's a cartoon. The fucking dialogue of this guy. Jesus. Man, I love it, man. We have officially entered Twilight Zone level. Have we not? Hey, this is one that people have been asking me a lot about, wanted me to talk about tonight. And I did have it on my list, but it kind of coincidental. This comes out right as we've been reading from William Bramley's The Gods of Eden, and sort of ties in with that information directly. This could be a part of the great revealing as well. This could be a part of what, the Project Bluebeam thing talked about with, the times before they got ready to roll up Project Bluebeam. We'd have great archaeological discoveries that would bring about questions into what mankind knows about who they are, where they came from, science, religion, all this stuff being brought into question. Could this be the biggest find since the Dead Sea Scrolls? 70 metal books found in a cave in Jordan could change our view of biblical history. For scholars of faith and history, it is a treasure trove too precious for price. The ancient collection of 70 tiny books, their lead pages bound with wire, could unlock some of the secrets of the earliest days of Christianity. Academics are divided as to their authenticity, but say that if verified, they could prove as pivotal as the discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls in 1947. On pages not much bigger than a credit card are images, symbols, and words that appear to refer to the Messiah and possibly even to the crucifixion and the resurrection. Is this supposed to be the Codex Apocrypha? Anybody know? Is that what this is supposed to be? Because that's what it sounds like. Adding to the intrigue, many of the books are sealed, prompting academics to speculate they are actually the lost collection of codices mentioned in the book of Revelation. That's the Codex Apocrypha, isn't it? The lost collection of codices mentioned in the book of Revelation? Yeah. The Codex Apocrypha. If I'm not mistaken, that's what it is. We were just talking about that. So, my God, they found the Codex Apocrypha, huh? Well, that's just great. Yeah. Now the elite will for sure know how to stage the apocalypse, won't they? The books were discovered 5 years ago in a cave in a remote part of Jordan to which Christian refugees are known to have fled after the fall of Jerusalem in 70 AD. Important documents from the same period have previously been found there. Initial metallurgical tests indicate that some of the books could date from the 1st century AD. This estimate is based on the form of corrosion which has taken place, which experts believe would be impossible to achieve artificially. If the dating is verified, the books would be among the earliest Christian documents predating the writings of St. Paul. The prospect that they could contain contemporary accounts of the final years of Jesus' life has excited scholars. Although their enthusiasm is tempered by the fact that experts have previously been fooled by sophisticated fakes. So this very well could be it, and I guarantee you, it's they're going to send their people in to be able to use this to further their agenda, not to further anything for mankind. Don't for a second believe that it's going to be used for us. You know what? I'm done with the news for tonight. Let's go ahead and take a break and come back. And when we come back, we'll be getting into chapter 13 from William Bramley's The Gods of Eden for you tonight. Looking forward to get back into this now. I know you are as well. It's been a great read. It's been a lot of fun. So we're going to get back into that. This is the Global Reality Late Night Moonbat Edition. Get that coffee brewing, man. Sell some No-Dos, get some Mountain Dew, and do what you got to do. But all right, back here with you on the Global Reality, right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. Thank you for being with us here tonight. Thanks for staying up late with us, all of you out there. Appreciate that so much, all of you out there listening and staying up late with us, or early, or whatever it may be, wherever you may be all over the world. We've got definitely got listeners all over the place right now. I'm trying to take a look at this. I'm trying to see if I can let's see. It gives me just a minute here, but we're going to be getting back into William Bramley's The Gods of Eden. We've got listeners tonight of course, in the United States. We've got listeners in Greece, Australia, Canada, the Netherlands. So welcome everybody out there listening all across the globe, listening live tonight. That's very awesome. So thanks to everybody out there. And again, support our work if you can. Use the donate button if you want to support our films and you want to help us grow and help us get better equipment and help us to get these films out and everything else. That's where you do that, and use the chip and banner there for the expenses of running the network and getting a new chat room going and all the little. There's just so many little things that add up every month. Is really what it boils down to. Everybody's got a fee or something else you gotta have and pay for. It's just the way it is. But I am thankful that we are able to do this by the support of our listeners and not by having to sell any advertising or have commercials or result any of that, or even banner ads or anything. You guys are what is keeping us alive out here. And to me, that was the whole reason why I wanted to start this network, and why I started from that is I wanted to see and prove to all the networks out there that, you know, run on this model of selling ads and commercials and all this, so they, you know, so a few people can line their pockets while the host starved to death. I knew there had to be another way to do that. I knew that if you just gave people the option and gave them the free will to support your work or not, that if your work was of quality, you would get the support that you need every month. And you were doing it for the right reasons, and your heart was in it for the right reasons, and your intent was right. Because people know it, man. I mean, that's why I can't listen to this type of radio anymore. Even though I love the genre, I can't listen to very many other shows because I just hear the disingenuine people. It seems like everybody I turn on or listen to, they just sound disingenuine to me. It's just unmistakable. And it's because people convince themselves that of this lie that, oh, if you don't cuss on your show and you have a show that, you know, complies to FCC-ish standards, then you'll reach more people. And I believe that's a lie. If you're doing it from your heart and you're doing it with the right intent, you are going to reach who you need to reach. But restricting yourself and restricting what you could become, I would never have become the researcher, the host. The show would never be what it is now had I not gone away from being on Oracle Broadcasting. Never. But I couldn't see that. And the time when I was on the network, you can't, you know, when you're involved in it, when you're in the bubble like that, you can't see it. It's not until after you're away from it and you're out of it, you see that was the best thing that ever happened to me. I could never have built this show into what it is now, and we would have never gotten to the point of understanding, because you keep yourself in such a restricted state when you're on those networks like that. So that's one of the things I'm proudest of is that for now almost 2 years, we've been able to stay alive here and not give people that constant model of you know, sell, buy. Oh, by the way, yeah, this info is important, but you know what's even more important? Getting some cash flow in the pockets of us and our sponsors. So here's a commercial. I thought we were fighting commercialism. I thought we were fighting putting a goddamn dollar sign on everything on this fucking planet, like Bill Hicks said. I thought that's what we were against. So, you know, that's where it takes one person, one man, one woman, one entity to make a stand and to take a stand for yourself. I think what would hurt the elite more than anything else, because anybody can do it, would be if, you know, every host out there took control of their own show and their own output and had their own, you know, little network island type thing to broadcast their stuff out to, instead of there being, you know, these network conglomerates with a bunch of shows on it. I think that would do more damage. You know what I mean? Because then you'd have more individual scattered people. It'd be hard to categorize and sort of corral people into one individual thing. But, you know, hey, what do I know, right? Well, I know this. I know what works for me, and I know what I'm able to, what I've been able to do here, and what I wasn't able to do before. And yeah, believe me, leaps and bounds difference. So anyway, please support our work, folks. Okay, thanks. Chapter 13 out of William Bramley's The Gods of Eden, Apocalypse of John. Let's get into that here tonight for you. The alleged author of Revelation was Jesus' personal friend and disciple John, not to be confused with a John the Baptist, a different person. John appears to have been the most influential of Jesus' disciples, and an earlier biblical text that is attributed to him, the book of John, seems to come closest to conveying the strong mystical leanings of Jesus' backers and of the early Christian church. For these and other reasons, the name of John has been an important one to Christians and to a number of mystical organizations. It is perhaps not surprising then that John's name would be chosen to convey the final and most colorful apocalypse in the Bible. The Revelation of St. John is the fifth and final work attributed to John to appear in the New Testament. Some scholars believe that Revelation was written by John while he was living in exile on the Greek island of Patmos, many years after the crucifixion of Christ. Well, what's interesting is off the Greek island of Patmos, you have that whole area right there where there's sunken cities underneath the water and stuff. And off the island of Patmos is actually where they found the Antikythera mechanism, which is this clockwork mesh gear mechanism that accurately tracks the movement of the stars, and was made, thousands of years before man is said to have had any sort of clockwork gear mechanisms like that. There's a video on YouTube where somebody made one out of Antikythera mechanism replica that works out of Legos. Oh, it was awesome. But isn't that interesting that it said that the book of Revelation was written on the island of Patmos? And so if it's true that the custodians had a hand in creating the hellfire and brimstone book of Revelation ideologies, then it would stand to reason that the Antikythera mechanism was also a device that was created by these custodians and then, of course, dumped in the water in the sea off the island of Patmos so that no one would find it and understand that, okay, well, obviously somebody with high technology was here near the island of Patmos doing something. And then again, coincidentally, that's where the book of Revelation was supposedly written at. That's pretty interesting, folks. A piece of, obvious, what else could it be? Alien type technology found off the same coast where the book of Revelation was written. Come on. Others are convinced that the disciple John was not the author of Revelation because Revelation was not discovered until about 200 years after John's lifetime. According to Joseph Free, writing in his book Archaeology and Bible History, the linguistic qualities of Revelation are inferior in some ways to the book of John. It is argued that if Revelation was written 5 years after the book of John by the same person, Revelation should be linguistically equal to or superior to the earlier work. Another point is that Revelation contains expressions from the Hebrew language that were not used in John's earlier writings. On the other hand, important similarities between Revelation and other books of John have been noted, especially in the repetition of certain words and phrases. Whatever the true authorship of Revelation may be, the impact of this work has been major. Revelation is the first-person account of the author's bizarre meeting with a strange person he believed to be Jesus. Over a period of a day or two, the author also met a number of unusual creatures, which showed him pictures of frightening future events. I'm sorry, I just paused there for a minute. The stream's not dead or anything. I'm sorry, I got to read that again because it just blows my mind, the synchronicity. I'll tell you this story in just a minute. Let me read that again. A bizarre meeting with a strange person he believed to be Jesus. Over a period of a day or two, the author also met a number of unusual creatures which showed him pictures of frightening future events. Now, the other night on the show, I was describing this thing that happened to me where I saw this. It was the only time in my life I've ever seen one of these. And I saw an entity, what I described as a demon, a figure in black. I talked about that on the show the other night, Monday night. And one of our listeners had sent me an email, and this woman had asked me if I'd heard of the shadow people and whatnot, if I thought that's what that was, and I've heard of the shadow people and all that. But this didn't seem like the shadow people. This seemed more like a demonic entity of some sort. But I have had an experience with these quote-unquote shadow people, and that's what made me think of this, was this line where it says, the author also met a number of unusual creatures that showed him pictures of frightening future events. Well, one time I was under the influence of some hallucinogenic drugs. And they were so good, I can't remember what they were. Mushrooms, acid, I don't know. Ecstasy, who knows? I was under the influence of something. I can't remember. But I do remember this. I was sitting on a patio. It was a balcony. It was overlooking a parking lot. And I could see this, almost this fine layer of mesh between our perceived reality and the non-perceived reality. And I could just see black figures everywhere. And later on, I found out that's what people refer to as the shadow people, what appear to be entities that are around us at all times, of which our senses can't see or perceive, unless in heightened states or in other altered states of consciousness. But I saw these two figures go up to the hood of a truck, and I was just describing this to this young lady who's one of our listeners, Allison. I was explaining to this person that, you know, this whole story, because she mentioned she had an experience where she went into a bar, and it was kind of that, you know, kind of that same thing. She felt like she walked in this bar and felt like everybody in this bar were aliens, you know, and she was the only one that was normal, and everybody was on drugs or something. But I saw these two shadow people walk up to a white pickup truck and rip the hood off of a pickup truck. And then they stretched it out and made like a movie screen out of it. And then they were projecting images of nuclear war and all this different, you know, stuff on the screen in front of me. And so that's why I paused right there. It was just synchronicity. I was reading that and I was going, my God, that's almost identical to the experience that I had, of course, under the influence of a hallucinogen. But that doesn't make it any less real, folks. That's another thing we got to understand. Just, you know, we're conditioned also to believe that because we see things or have visions under the influence of hallucinogenic drugs, that makes them any less real. No, that's what those things are there for. You understand? That's why they don't want us using them. That's one of the secrets of the priest class is using these drugs and these tools naturally found here on Earth. I mean, my God, psilocybin mushrooms, it's a plant. Ergot, which you can synthesize LSD out of, is a fungus. You know, it's bread, mold. These are what they're there for. So it just blew my mind that, you know, this idea of John seeing these creatures. And I was just telling that person, one of our listeners, about that. Wow, crazy fucking synchronicity, man, I tell you. Where did I leave off here? It said that over a period of a day or two, the author also met a number of unusual creatures which showed him pictures of frightening future events. The author was told by those creatures that Satan, the Antichrist, would take over the world. This would be followed by the final battle of Armageddon, during which the angels of God would battle the forces of Satan. The final battle would bring about the banishment of Satan from human society and the triumphant return, the second coming of Jesus to reign over earth for 1,000 years. The book of Revelation is written in a wonderfully picturesque manner. It is filled with complex and imaginative symbolism. Because the pictures revealed to John were symbols, Revelation can also be used to predict an imminent end of the world in almost any historical epoch. The prophecy is constructed so that the symbols can be interpreted to represent whatever historical events happen to be occurring at the time in which one is living. This is precisely what has been done with Revelation ever since it appeared, and it is still being done this way today. Yes, by the custodial priest class masters, I would add. The question is, what caused the author's visions? Was it lunacy, a propensity to tell tall tales, or was it something else? The author seems sincere enough to rule out deceit. His straightforward manner of narration tends to eliminate lunacy as the answer. That leaves something else. The question is, what? Upon analyzing the text of Revelation, we discover something rather remarkable. It appears that the author had actually been drugged, and while in that drugged state, was shown pictures in a book by individuals who were wearing costumes and putting on a ceremony for the author's benefit. Let us look at the passages of Revelation which suggest this. John begins his story by telling us that he was at prayer From a further description, it seems that he was conducting his ritual outdoors during daylight hours. Suddenly, a loud voice resounded behind him. The voice commanded him to write down everything he was about to see or hear and to tell the message to the 7 Christian churches in Asia or Turkey. John turned around to see who was speaking to him. Isn't that interesting? Because in Turkey, wow. Huh. John turned around to see who was speaking to him, and lo and behold, there he saw what he believed to be 7 golden candlesticks. My fucking menorah? Never mind. Standing among the candlesticks was a person whom the author described as one who looked like the Son of Man, Jesus, clothed with a garment down to the foot and wearing about the chest a golden girdle. His head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as flame of fire. And his feet were like fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace. And his voice was as the sound of many waters. Sounds like his motherfucker was a robot. And he had in his right hand, a fucking cyborg or something, and he had in his right hand 7 stars. And out of his mouth went a sharp 2-edged sword. And his appearance was like the sun shines in his strength. And when I saw him, I fell at his feet as though dead. And he laid his right hand upon me. There are striking similarities between this new Jesus and the space-age angels of earlier biblical stories. The prophet Ezekiel, for example, also had met visitors with feet of brass. The above passage from Revelation suggests that John's Jesus may have been garbed in a one-piece bodysuit extending from the neck down to metal or metal-like boots. The creature's head was described as white like wool and white as snow, indicating an artificial head covering or helmet. John's claim of this creature had a voice as the sound of many waters, that is, rumbling and thunderous, is also reminiscent of Ezekiel's angels and could have been caused by the rumbling of nearby engines or by electronic amplification of the creature's voice. The 2-edged sword protruding from the creature's mouth easily suggests a microphone or a breathing pipe. After John regained his composure, Jesus commanded him to write down the missives that, quote-unquote, Jesus wanted him to send to various Christian churches. See, I see where this is going. I was exactly right, yeah. So this thing appeared to John, tricked him into believing he was Jesus, and had him write down this book of Revelation thing, and then that's where the book of Revelations came from. Again, it was installed into us and into Christianity by the custodians, by the extraterrestrials. I mean, I've always known that, man. I've always known that shit was a fraud, was a lie, was being put there by somebody. God, it all makes, again, I've been saying this the whole time we've been reading this, but it all makes sense now, doesn't it? It does, more and more every day. The most interesting phase of John's experience then begins in chapter 4. I looked, and behold, a door was opened in heaven. And the first voice which I heard, which sounded like a trumpet talking with me, said, "Come up here, and I will show you things which must take place hereafter." And immediately I was in the Spirit, and look, a throne was set in heaven, and one creature sat on that throne. And the one who sat looked to me like a jasper and a sardine stone. Jasper and sardine stone. That would be like black and white or black and silver, wouldn't it? Jasper and sardine. That's odd. And there was a rainbow around the throne looking like an emerald. And all around the throne were 24 seats. And upon the seats I saw 24 elders sitting, clothed in white garments. And they had on their heads crowns of gold. And out of the throne came lightnings and thundering voices, and there were 7 lamps of fire burning before the throne, which are the 7 spirits of God, or the 7 extraterrestrial races, or whatever they are. And therefore the throne, there was a sea of glass like crystal in the midst of the throne, and round about the throne were 4 beasts full of eyes in front and back. So there was these creatures with eyes all over them. The above passage can be viewed as the author being taken up through the door of some sort of aircraft and finding himself face to face with its occupants as told by someone incapable of understanding the experience. The quote contains two especially interesting elements. First, John said that a voice from above sounded like a trumpet talking with him. This strongly suggests a voice bellowing through a loudspeaker. Second, the lightnings and thunderings and voices emitting from the throne suggest that the throne had a television or radio set of some kind. A modern human might well describe the same experience this way. Well, yes, I was lifted up into a rocket ship, and there I confirmed the seated crew in their white jumpsuits and helmets, and they had some radio or TV reception going. The presence of 7 candles and 7 lamps indicates that a ritual had been prepared for the author. The ritual was replete with costumes, theatrics, and sound effects. Sounds like Bohemian Grove, right? Costumes, theatrics, sound effects, Bohemian Grove. All designed to deeply impress the message upon the author. This is what happened when John was shown the first scroll. And I saw in the right hand of the one who sat on the throne a scroll with writing on the inside and on the backside, sealed with 7 seals. And I saw a strong angel proclaiming with a loud voice, "Who is worthy to open the book and to loosen the seals of it?" And no man in heaven, nor in earth, nor from under the earth was able to open the book, nor to look upon its contents. Under the earth. Notice they reference inner earth beings there. I've heard people talk about that before, but I didn't know exactly, could never identify what passage it was from, but there it is right there. I think it happens multiple times where they're obviously referencing entities inside of the earth. I'll read it again. And no man in heaven, nor in earth, meaning the inner earth dwellers, the people that live inside of the earth. And from what I understand, it's referenced several times in the Bible, but I wanted to point that out since we were reading that here, that's a fine example of them, and nor from under the earth as well, was able to open the book, nor to look upon its contents. And I wept a great deal, because no man was found worthy to open and to read the book, nor to look upon its contents. And one of the elders said to me, "Weep not. Look, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the Root of David, has succeeded to open the book and to loosen its 7 seals." And I, standing between the throne of the 4 beasts and in the midst of the elders, a lamb in the manner of having been slain, having 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of God sent out to all the earth. And he came and took the book out of the right hand of the one who sat upon the throne. And when he had taken back the book, the 4 beasts and 24 elders fell before the Lamb, each of them holding harps and golden containers full of odors, which are the prayers of saints. And they sung a new song, saying, "You are worthy to take the book and to open the seals of it, for you were slain and have redeemed us to God by your blood from every family, language, people, and nation, and have made us into kings and priests to God, and we shall reign on earth." And I saw and I heard the voice of many angels around the throne and the beasts and the elders, and they numbered 10,000 times 10,000 and thousands of thousands, saying with a loud voice, "Worthy is the Lamb that was slain to receive power and riches and wisdom and strength and honor and glory and blessing." And every creature which is in heaven and on the earth and under the earth, and those that are in the sea, and all that are in them, heard I saying, "Blessing and honor and glory and power be to him that sits upon the throne and to the Lamb forever and ever." And the 4 beasts said, "Amen." And the 24 elders fell down and worshipped him that lived forever and ever. The elders continued to fall at dramatic moments throughout the ceremony. Each time they did so, they made quite an impression upon John. Among their cries of "Amen," "Amen," "Amen-Ra," and "Alleluia" or "Hallelujah," the author was given the somber task of writing down everything he was being shown and taught. It has been pointed out that the experience John described is identical to mystical ritual, especially of initiation into the teachings of a secret society. For this reason, some people believe that Revelation is actually an account of an initiation ceremony, typical of many brotherhood organizations, typical even today. These observations are quite significant when they are coupled with the evidence that John's experience had an element of space opera. It reveals continued custodial involvement in brotherhood mysticism after the time of Christ and shows custodians to be the ultimate source of apocalyptic doctrines. In the above passage from Revelation, we observe that John reacted with strong emotions to what was going on around him. He was especially prone to weeping on relatively little provocation. He seemed unable to distinguish between ritual and apparent reality. Oh, yeah. So the ritual, that's when the ritual becomes real. You know, the entities and the energy comes out. He couldn't determine what was ritual and what was real. Oh, yeah. That's a good sign. This raises questions about his mental state. No, man, it not really. He saw some shit. It probably fucked him up when you see, you know, think about people out in the ancient times when they see people in, you know, with high technology. Yeah, it probably blew his mind out. A careful reading of Revelation indicates that John's mind may have been influenced by drugs administered to him by the creatures. That's what I was telling you earlier. Isn't that interesting? Because I was talking about my experience, you know, 10 years ago or whatever it was, being under the influence of some hallucinogens and seeing, you know, these creatures showing me visions on a screen of, you know, nuclear weapons and stuff going off. And it says right here, the custodians gave John hallucinogenic drugs. Well, ABC News reported a few years ago that Moses was tripping balls on DMT, ayahuasca, because there was evidence that that was used by Moses, and it's found, all the alkaloids are found right around Mount Sinai. So yeah, he couldn't tell what was reality and what wasn't, and couldn't tell the difference between the ritual and reality, because in the ritual, he was tripping fucking balls. And you see this, and it sets quite a pattern for the idea of the custodians or extraterrestrials or gods or spirits or whatever else transferring information to humans through these different psychoactive compounds like psilocybin, mescaline, LSD, etc., specifically ones that are found naturally occurring on the planet like ergots and fungus and the rest of this. The author was apparently outdoors again, preparing to memorialize the latest revelations, when an angel flew down from the sky holding something in his hands. And the voice which I heard from heaven spoke to me again and said, "Go and take the little scroll which is upon the hand of the angel, which stands upon the sea and upon the earth." And I went to the angel and said to him, "Give me the little scroll." And he said to me, "Take it and eat it, and it will make your belly bitter, but it will be in your mouth as sweet as honey." And I took the little scroll out of the angel's hand, and I ate it up. And it was in my mouth, sweet as honey, and I had eaten it, and my belly was bitter. And he said to me, "You must preach again before many peoples and nations and tongues and kings." Most Christians believe that the little scroll offered to John was an actual document, the contents of which the author magically came to know by eating the scroll. He ate the scroll, which was dun 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 dun, bum bum ba dum bum 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 ba dum bum. Little white rabbit for you. Oh yeah. Oh, yeah, he was tripping balls, boy, yeah. Oh. So he ate it, and when he ate it, he had information transmitted to it. Hello? It's called shamanism. Maybe you've heard of it. Our clue that it was probably paper or something else saturated with the drug. Oh, shit, they didn't even give him the good shit. They gave him fucking blotter or something, didn't they? I just fucking hose down. Oh, just give John some blotter, man. That's good enough. It's going to fry his mind. He's never done any shit anyway. God damn, don't give him any liquid. Fuck. Interestingly, the drug was sweet to the taste, but caused a bitter reaction in the stomach. Interestingly, an almost identical experience has been reported by Ezekiel. And when I looked, a hand of an angel was put before me, and a scroll was in it. And he spread it before me, and it had writing inside and out. And there were written lamentations and mourning and woe. Additionally, he said to me, "Son of man, eat what you are finding. Eat this scroll and go to speak to the house of Israel." So I opened my mouth, and he caused me to eat that scroll. And he said to me, "Son of man, make your belly eat and fill your bowels with this scroll that I give you." Or maybe this is like that from Battleship Earth or Battlefield Earth or something, you know? Remember when Travolta thinks that the humans like to eat rats, raw rats, because that's all they get? And he's, "Oh, the rats. Oh, the rat brains. They like to eat rats. That's a treat for them." Maybe it's the same thing. Maybe these idiot custodians were, you know, thought that we like to eat paper or something. Then I ate it. I know I'm aware that I'm gonna get 20 emails and people are gonna go, it's being symbolic. Yes, I'm aware. Don't send me goddamn emails saying it wasn't really eating paper. It's symbolic. Yes, I know. I'm making a joke. Thank you. Then I ate it and it was in my mouth as sweet as honey. And he said to me, son of man, go get yourself over to the house of Israel and speak my words to them. Yeah. Here, eat this drug. Let me get inside of your mind and put my thoughts and my words inside of your brain. And then when you get done with that, I need you to go over to the people of Israel and go preach this to them. Okay? Thanks. My God. All of this shit was set up by extraterrestrials. All of this shit was set up to keep us in control and to keep us to do what they want us to do, folks. All of it. Many people mistakenly believe that John actually saw the future historical events he prophesied in Revelation. It has been pointed out by Christian and non-Christian scholars alike that John's visions of the future were surprisingly simply illustrated down and drawn on scrolls. This is especially evident in John's vision of the creature with 7 heads and 10 horns. As I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads blasphemous names. The fact that the actual words blasphemous names were written upon the heads of this creature revealed that John was looking at an illustration with labels, much like an old-fashioned political cartoon. Although the author does not specifically say so, it is likely that many other visions on the scrolls were labeled in a similar fashion. There can be no doubt that as literature, the book of Revelation is a colorful, dramatic, and hard-hitting work. As the basis for a religious philosophy, however, it has all the pitfalls of the apocalypses which came before it. As we shall see, the prophecy made in Revelation has been fulfilled at least a half dozen times in world history, complete with global catastrophe followed by second comings. Not once has this brought about 1,000 years of peace and spiritual salvation. All it has done is set the stage for the next catastrophe. Today, as we stand on a massive nuclear powder keg, perhaps it is time to reevaluate the usefulness of apocalyptic belief before the world is plunged into yet another final battle. Yes, spiritual salvation and 1,000 years of peace are goals well worth having and are long overdue. But there is no need to pay the price of an Armageddon to achieve them. So that's the end of chapter 13 there. The next chapter is chapter 14, the plagues of Justinian. The plagues of Justinian. This is probably going to get into how how they created plagues to wipe out mankind, the custodians did. Yeah, that's absolutely true too. Good stuff, and thanks to everybody for staying up late with us. Now, I know we continue this one a lot later tonight than we normally do, but it was well worth it. I'm glad we got to get through chapter 13 for you now. Great stuff there. A lot more information. Hey, let's wrap it up with this. John was tripping balls talking to aliens and brought down the book of Revelation so he could use it to control us all. Yeah, print that. Hey, support our work. Chipping banner's there. Donate button is there if you want to make a big amount or a larger amount of a donation to us for the films, for everything else. You had never done that. You want to do it? Hey, you can. Why not? Help us out. Help us push forward into the future. My name is Josh Reeves. I love each and every one of you, and we'll see you tomorrow for the show. You guys have a great night, morning, whatever have you. Take care.